Casper, it's okay. Hello, everyone. Uh, Let me go ahead and so the mailman just appeared when I was planning to go live, so hence you are hearing Casper bark. So let's see if this is working. Is everything working? Hopefully it is. So where's my OBS? Okay, that's where it is. And hopefully, good morning, Wendy. Hey, Lakshmi. I am continuing to knit on the amazing Technicolor. It's an amazing Technicolor dream sweater. Yes. Yes, I have progressed a lot on the sweater, Quina. I am done with both the fronts, and then currently I'm knitting on the back, and I'm done with half the back, and I have only the remaining. So I have like, I would say 1/4 of the main sweater part knitting left, and then I join the front and the back with the, you know, the triangles on the side. So it's been a very fun knit. I enjoy scrappy projects like this, in which I can keep changing the yarn every now and then. And if it gets boring, I switch my yarns, I play with the colors. I have a whole box of yarns out here, so I keep swapping out and change. Yes, I have tried it on. Um, it's a cropped sweater. No, it's not the same design as my yellow and orange design sweater. It's a Steven West pattern, of course, and I don't know if you can see this, but that's the way it is. And it is a cropped sweater on the in the front, and currently when I wear it, it feels a little extra cropped, which I'm not too crazy about right now. But I think once the triangles of which attach the back and the front come in, once those come in, then the front will drop down a little. Plus, I can add ribbing as much as I want in order to increase the length. So I'm thinking I might even have a longer ribbing than that. And I think it'll be fine at the end. Yeah, this is the West knit pattern. So it's like right now it's a very easy to memorize kind of pattern, so it's going pretty quick. And I had a feeling I might not enjoy this moss stitch very much, which is basically knit and purl every time. But because the way the colors flow and the colors transition, and it's not very distinctive stripes, you can they kind of merge into one another and do all this kind of thing. It's fun. I'm enjoying it. So far I haven't slowed down on it, and I plan to continuing on, and now I'm very curious whether it'll actually fit me. And what I'm hoping is that it actually, this is the time I wish that superwash actually does what it's supposed to do, which is grow, because I have a feeling it is a bit too cropped for me right now. but hopefully when I wash it, it does grow in length a little bit, and that might maybe make it the right length for me. If not, then I'll just keep adding more. There's some brioche ribbing at the bottom, which is an option. It's not a requirement for the pattern, but I'll definitely need some, but I might need more than some. But that's the cool thing about this pattern. It's like you can kind of alter it as you knit along. I have inserted in some of my hand spun, some art yarns, um, and yeah, I just keep transitioning from one to the other. And mostly it is sock yarn held double. And there are some places where I've just used some worsted weight yarn. I've used some DK weight yarn held together with mohair as well. Um, so yeah, a good way to use up some stash yarn. And it's mostly greens and purples. And some yellows. So thought I would knit for some time, get some progress done on this, because I also need to make a run to the UPS store and drop off some packages and things like that. I just needed to take a little break this morning from running around. I think that's a back side. Is that the back side? No, that's a front. It doesn't matter, the back and the front look pretty much the same. But this is where my sleeve is coming off from. So that'll be the front and the back that are attached. And then so you can see I've gone just past the half of the back part. So it's definitely a fun pattern. And I am changing yarns all on the starting the wrong side, because that way I can have the extra bits hanging at the bottom of the shawl, which I can weave in, and then the top part, which is going to be joined to the front, that's kept clean. I did not swatch. It was kind of hard to swatch. I kind of did, but it was just to get an approximate idea of how the fabric would feel like. Do I want to hold, if I'm holding two strands of sock yarn, do I want to do it with size 8 needles is what is recommended, or smaller and bigger? So I just kind of did like a very basic swatch. I did swatch, 30 stitches, and I knit like 3-4 inches, but it was not really to measure. It was more to kind of see if I like the fabric, because a pattern really oops, I messed up. The pattern really doesn't require you to, it's like you cast on at the sleeve and you knit a bit of the sleeve and you kind of know whether the sleeve is fitting you, and you keep increasing till you reach your elbow or something, and then you cast on a bunch of stitches So you can kind of measure how many stitches per inch you're getting to with your arm, with your sleeve that you have knitted, and based on that you can cast on additional stitches to the front of the sleeve, and then you keep knitting till you're, at the center of your front. So it's not like the pattern is not written in the way where they're asking you to knit so many rows or anything. It's more like, well, knit to the right side of your neck and then start decreasing some stitches, and then you'll be in the center of your front. So it's like a recipe rather than a very strict pattern. So I didn't feel really the need to swatch. Plus, I was using so many yarns. Like, there's always going to be some difference in the gauge, whichever yarns I choose. So I was like, okay, if I just get the fabric I need with size 8 needles, with the two sock yarns held together with this particular stitch pattern, then I'm just going to go for it. And I also made some modifications, like his pattern is really, the sweater is going from elbow to elbow like a big rectangle. I went a little bit inwards, and the reason why is mine is turning out to be a little bit shorter than what I would have hoped is because I saw his um, you know the different, he has three different sizes in it, and because it was going elbow to elbow and it was looking like a big tent, I was like, I don't want that, so I'll knit the smallest size and that'd be better. What I didn't consider, the smallest size would also be small in length rather than just small in width. um, so that's where mine kind of landed up being a little bit shorter. I should have just knitted the medium size and still knitted in from my sleeve, but it's fine. And like I said, because it's shorter in the front, I can just add a whole bunch of ribbing. Some brioche ribbing will look nice on this. And the brioche ribbing also creates vertical stripes. So, and my whole idea of doing this one was that if I kind of like this vertical stripe concept, then maybe I can knit a sideways sweater for myself soon. Yeah, just too many yarns to swatch, and then I'm using some, really thick art yarns in between. Means I'm just using them for one row occasionally here and there, so it's not like, it's going to change the gauge of the whole thing significantly. It just adds some texture to it. But I have what, like 14 different skeins of yarn. Even if I did swatch with all of them, I got a bunch of different numbers. What am I going to do with that information? You know, it's like, yes, average it out. So, and for a pattern like this, that's the best part. It really doesn't matter. You're kind of knitting it to get a piece of fabric. And that's the kind of sweater I really wanted. I didn't want a very fitted kind of sweater anyway. I basically wanted a blanket with sleeves, a short blanket with sleeves. So that's what this is going to be. I don't know if in the pattern here I have a picture of him wearing it. No, I don't. But yeah, y'all can look it up online. and I'm changing colors just as I feel. I'm not changing them like after a certain number of rows so that I get the exact width of different colored stripes. If I feel I want to change soon, I'll change soon. If I want to feel I want a thicker stripe, I'll just change it whenever I want. So that gives me, a good variation. So that's some DK weight yarn with some mohair in it. So this is some alpaca yarn. This is some hand spun out here. This is Sockset Rock from Blue Moon Fiber Crafts, held double with another sock yarn. So is this. And sometimes, like the pink yarn, I have kind of continued it for this entire section from here to here. But I have changed one of the strands but kept the other strand the same. So sometimes I'll keep one strand going along for a long time. This is some Aran weight actually. So it's thicker than worsted weight as well. But I just used it as is. It works out. And I think I'm going to just finish this row of this and then uh, switch to some Nuro yarn. I kind of like that. It keeps changing its color on its own, and maybe I'll hold it with some mohair. Whenever I start, I always mess up because I need to pay a little bit more attention as to what I'm doing. Because it's two rows where you are the knit and pearls are above each other, moss stitch. And I heard that moss stitch, I was reading at some pattern notes or by other people. Apparently, moss stitch in the UK is their seed stitch, but out here it is different. And some people have knit the whole thing in seed stitch, which also works. You know, but this is moss stitch. And I think if I was doing this in just one color or something, or even a variegated color, but just using one yarn for the whole process, I think I would be so bored. And I'm not particularly a fast knitter, but I just keep knitting whenever I can, and eventually things get done. And I'm also not a picker. I am a thrower. I've tried knitting by picking, but I find it extremely hard to do. Hey Elena. Oh, did you get your mug? Or did it go out in the mail today? I think it just went today or yesterday. I can't remember. I've been shipping out a lot of boxes in the last 2, 3 days. So Elena is not yet. So I do have your handspun mug included in it. And I actually do have one additional mug. I made two just in case yours didn't turn out, but they both turned out fine. So I need to actually take a picture of that mug and post it as well if someone else is interested. But yeah, I think yours went out yesterday or the day before. Oh, you are a thrower too. Thank goodness. I have recently found out that uh, two or three of my friends who I've been chatting with a lot and everything uh, are all pickers, and they got extremely upset with me that uh, I am a thrower. They also did try to convert me, but I said nope. I'm not. I'm not changing my ways. One of them is Diana. I'll even name them. And one of them is Alana Wilcox, who we are always amazed as to how both of us have so many things alike, the things we like, the things that we do, and all of that. And then we were chatting, and then I was like, "Well, yeah, I'm a thrower," and she's like, "How can we even be friends now?" Like everything else is like we are so much in tune with, but no, she's a picker and I'm a thrower. You're looking at the pattern and looks like you pick up for ribbing. Yes. Could you add a design feature like maybe a moss triangle in the ribbing? Yes, you can, and um, the that is possible. It's like a brioche knit at the bottom, and because I'll show you how the bottom of the sweater. So yeah, so you can see the front is is shorter here, and that's the back. This is the back, and then here it goes at a diagonal. So that's how it's cropped in the front. And then when you pick up and knit, you knit the ribbing down, and you get those vertical stripe because it's a two-color brioche ribbing. And then on the side out here, he has a very cool kind of diagonal triangle design going on, where where you have this diagonal going on. So I'm kind of hoping that looks cool. So it will have some kind of triangular effect. I don't know about moss stitch on the bottom because I do want it also to kind of stay together. So I'm going to follow his instructions on how to do um, a brioche. So both Quina and Elena are here, and they both are saying hi to each other, and they're both my Patreon supporters. Wonderful people. So thank you so much. Along with the other Patreons, I don't know if they are watching or no, but at least I know these two people are here online and are chatting. So nice to have you here. I don't think I've gone live knitting a lot. Oh, I was thinking I wanted to change the yarn. Let's change the yarn. I wanted to switch out. Not that I've had enough of purple, but I just want to switch out. So let's just do that. Okay. And my scissor here. Oh, Quina, you're a picker. I thought you just said you were a thrower as well. Quina, you need to decide, which is fine. I have nothing against pickers or throwers or whatever else you are. As long as you can create a knitted fabric, I think that should be fine. So this is a Nuro which I'm going to use. And it's kind of thick and thin. It looks like hand spun, which is why I like it. And the colors keep changing. And I have another friend of mine, Kent, he is a thrower. So if you knit just like me, then you are a thrower. I'm a thrower. So picker is one. So let me just knit some. And I doubt if I can demo picking up because I freaking cannot pull if I'm picking. But so this is what I'm like throwing the yarn. So usually a thrower will either hold it with their hands like this and do that. I you know I don't need to do that. I just move my entire hand, and so it's not that tedious to do. A picker usually holds their yarn in their left hand and then just goes down and picks up the stitch. So for knitting, for a knit stitch, I find it okay. For the purl, you kind of go in front and you do this kind of stuff, and that's a purl. I can do it, but it's I need practice. Plus, my tension is always off, and then I kind of land up doing this kind of stuff to it. Yeah, it's not fun for me. Yeah, so I do this thing. See, if I try to show it, I so this is how my yarn is. And then it's placed in the middle finger. First I used to keep it on the top finger here, but then that made me flick my finger a lot and that made my finger hurt. So now I just keep it on this, and now I don't flick any finger. I just move my entire hand in front. So my fingers are not like, moving around. And actually I can do this one by one rib a lot faster if I do it on straight needles, um, by tucking the straight needles down here. But for that, I also need to look at my knitting a lot more, and I can do it even on the circulars, and I'll show you how I do that. For that, the thing is, I need to tuck my needle in, and hopefully you can see that. Okay, and then I don't even hold this needle. So my right needle is just staying there tucked in, and all I do is then move my left needle up and down into the stitch. The thing is that this one has so many stitches in it, so it all doesn't fit in, so I need to keep adjusting the needle. And the yarn, of course, I'm using is all this weird thick and thin neuro, so it's not going to be that easy, and it has mohair in it. So see, after this needle gets filled up, I need to move it back, but then I can tuck it back in, and I find doing any kind of one by one ribbing or seat stitch, I find this a lot easier to do, a lot faster. But the thing is, I need to be looking at my knitting throughout, because I'm not inserting my right needle in the stitch, rather than using my left hand to push that stitch on the right needle. I don't know if I'm making sense. So you can see I'm barely touching my right needle, and what I'm doing is, see, this is why, so this is no row, so it's going to do its weird stuff. Okay, I need to keep moving my stitches back and forth, which can end up being a little hard. Should I move to my straights and let's do one row with straights and see how that goes? Let's try that. I know I was trying it before, but then I just keep moving my knitting back and forth around the house so much that it just then doesn't feel, the straights just kind of feel like that they're getting in the way, and then I can tend to drop my stitches on the straights very easily. So I don't push my stitches back. I stop in the middle of rows, and sometimes Casper wants to play tug with me while I'm knitting. So the circlers just hold the stitches easier. You don't have to worry that much about stitches falling off. Let me get my straight needles and let's do one row of that. So oh, you're helping a friend move, packing up in the garage. That's got to be tough. Like, when you're doing physical activity and then have to be masked and be careful about being 6 feet apart. Okay, so I've tucked the right needle into my waist. I'm trying to think which body part that was. It's my waist. And then, oh, this is the right side, so I need to go on it. Oh, and this is not going to be that fast either because that mohair is catchy. But you can see how I don't need to even, like, it's almost similar to how a sewing machine works, where you have that stitch being pushed on to the needle, like I'm just poking in. I don't even know if I can describe it that well. So I don't know if it's particularly faster. There is a certain comfort level I feel when I do it this way as well. I do get very even stitches. This is definitely easier on my hands, yes. Because I am not, it's easier on my arms too because I'm not holding my knitting. This is just staying here. I'm not holding this knitting, I'm not inserting it. All the action is done with this hand, and this hand is also just like moving my hand back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I'm not turning my wrists a lot. I'm not doing tiny finger movements. It's all kind of like, moving it back, moving the yarn behind. So that's the movement basically. And that's why I like it for one by one. I'm doing it a little slow so you can see what it is. It's like this needle is not being handled much. The yarn, so I'm just moving the yarn back and forth with this hand. So I move it in front. I use this hand to push the stitch on that needle, wrap it around, push it in front, move the yarn back. So you go front to back, back to front for the purl, front to back, knit that way. So And so the circular needles which I'm using are the ones that I did pick up from I'm forgetting the name of the store now. Josted Creek when you were there. So, and I needed the needles for this project. And of course it helps if you can squish up all your stitches to the very edge of the needle, and usually when I can do that, then I can go a lot faster. And this is particular for it, and if I'm doing stockinette, of course it's like super easy. I did see that pencil roving out there. Wasn't it with mohair and something else in it? I was very tempted to get that as well, but oh, if you saw the fiber stash I have, it's gotten a little insane, and I'm spinning all these yarns. And yesterday was our spin day with some of the friends I zoomed with, and I spun up uh, one of the art bats I had from Mohair and Merino. Yeah, I spun up one of the art bats that I had purchased from Frost Yarn, Nicole Frost, and it was. It, I have two 5 ounce bats of that colorway, so he needed some retail therapy. I needed it too, and I was almost sure I would get something because I was like, it's been more than a year since I stepped into a yarn shop. How can I just walk away without any fiber or yarn? I knew I needed the needles for sure, but what am I doing? Have I messed up my pattern? Oh, yes, I have. Yeah, now I get to undo my mohair for how many stitches? This is supposed to be the right side, and I was supposed to be. Okay, now you're going to see me undo. Okay, I got two pearl stitches out here, probably when I switched needles or something, and so I need to undo all these stitches now. Fun for me. Anyway, yeah, I had thought I would definitely be getting some fiber because, it's like what an experience going to a yarn shop again. But also at the same time, I was really concerned with the amount of fiber I have at home and how much I need to spin and use some of it. And I have so much undyed fiber as well. What do you mean if you send me some? I just told you I have so much. I it's always nice to get gifts like that, but there is so I got Nicole's frost bat. Um, I have two separate 5 ounce bats each of hers. No, three, and I have another 10 ounces of a stalker bat that she had created for me that I had purchased, I think 2 years back or something. And I don't spin with her bats because, well, I have spun with her bats previously, but these were just also amazing. I just could never, uh, dis, you know, I could just never break into the bat. I was like, these are just so amazing to look at. I just want them to be in bat form. But then finally, yesterday, I gave in, and maybe I can show it to you. Uh, that that's the bat I spun. That's the stalker bat. That is only 5 ounces. That's, well, 5 ounces is a lot. 5 ounces cold spun, big and fluffy, onto this Majacraft Aura wheel. This is the overdrive, the jumbo bobbin, and you can see it's barely full. So I could spin the remaining 5 ounces on it as well. But then I'm thinking, like, that's so much fiber. That's gonna be so much yarn. And I do plan to spiral ply that. I could leave it as it is. So the way I spun that was I did a core spinning and then I did a auto wrap in a gold lurex thread. So that's what that was. Okay, where are my two weird pearl stitches? So we still have ways to go. See, that's what you do when you go live, right? You think you'll make some progress in your knitting and you basically are unknitting more than you're knitting then. And the mohair is so sticky. And then I have from her bats itself, we had done one bat exchange, so I have that. And then I had purchased two other bats from her. One is this very deep purples and blues, and the other one is like these burgundy maroon kind of things. Yeah, inking mohair is like the worst thing ever, and I'm almost there. So it's all done. So that was the last. So this is a pearl stitch. I was supposed to knit here, and I purled. That's the thing with this pattern is like, because on the wrong side you're following the same knit purl sequence, but on the right side you're supposed to offset them. So where there's a knit, you're supposed to purl, and I just purl, that's your knit. And just looking at it this way, you don't know which is the front and back. So you kind of always have to look at the previous stitch. And sometimes with some yarn, especially mohair, you cannot tell what the previous stitch was because it's so thick and fluffy, and like it doesn't come intuitively. And especially when you're chatting, you don't know whether you were doing the front or the back side. It's easy to default. So this is not the first time I have to go back and redo stuff. Yeah, and it wasn't too bad because I think it was mohair held together with another yarn. I think once I was trying to knit something with just mohair. That was just the worst to think back. I was just like, no. And I think that's the only time I tried using mohair by itself in a project. After that, I never have. I always hold. I've not used it too much, but whenever I've used it, I've just held it with something else. All right, it was nice to see you, Elena. Thank you for joining me. Even I need to. Oh, it's almost 11, so even I need to sign off. Maybe I'll just finish these last two stitches, and then even I'm going to sign off. I need to go and pick up some packing peanuts for myself. All the packing and stuff I've been doing. So that's what my plan is. Alright, so there you go. Plus, to try on the sweater and stuff, the circular needles help. So that's the other reason why I switched to the circulars. So I'm going to switch back to the circulars because that's just more easier when I have to try on things. And it's getting to the stage where I keep trying it on to make sure everything is good. But thank you everyone for joining me. Hopefully the video this time didn't buffer too much because I've been having that trouble previously. And it all worked out. Alright, take care. Bye.